Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now in this video, I'm going to be talking about self-sabotage and whether you are actually sabotaging your own future by being really crap with your finances. Okay, I know it's all really expensive out here if you're living in a big city like I am. I live in London here, and it can be incredibly expensive. And therefore it can be kind of easy to blame the government or the economy for, why I just have crap savings. But actually, when you drill down into how you're actually spending your money, you may realize you're self-sabotaging yourself there, and maybe you could be using your money in a better way. So if that sounds like you and you want to boost up your savings account and basically be better with your money in the new year, hopefully this video can help. Let's go. The first thing then to realize is, do you have money avoidance? And what I mean by this is, are you the type of person that never looks at their bank account, is afraid to look at their bills because it's just so overwhelming, or that you use your credit card a lot and then you're afraid to look at it because the debt is just rolling in really fast? This is called money avoidance. And essentially you're avoiding the pain of even looking at how big of a bill that you have. But in reality, what you're doing is you may have late fees if you're not paying them on time. You may be building up interest, especially if you're using a credit card, which can be 20 or 30% interest rate. Okay. And you may be actually overspending because you're not budgeting and looking at the money that you have in your account or what's coming in. So if this sounds like you, there are ways to be better with your money, and I'll go through them. Firstly, you shouldn't be afraid to look at your banking app. Okay. It's really important and really easy to see what money is coming in, okay, every month from your salary or from the jobs that you have. And then to understand, okay, where is your money going? You can easily print off your bank statement and just go through it with a pen. And then you will start to realize, oh my God, I've been spending £800 a month on eating out. And that is, of course, a bit of a waste of money if you have credit card bills racking up. Even if you don't have debt like this, overspending on these areas can basically lead to you not being able to save and invest for your future. So what I'd really recommend is look at your banking app, really understand, okay, what percentage of the income that I have am I spending on frivolous things? And I guarantee you, if you have this money avoidance, issue, you haven't been doing this in the past. But don't worry, it's not as bad as you think. And the quicker that you look at it, the quicker you can sort out your money problems. The second thing that you might be doing that's a bit of a self-sabotage to yourself is, are you paying an extortionate amount for rent or a mortgage, essentially? So if you are paying more than 50% of your income on needs can be your rent, your food, your travel to work, okay? If there's a big chunk of that and more than 50% going towards your rent, you're basically living above your means in that situation. So maybe you're living in a very fancy area of town. Maybe you've got a 2-bed flat, but you are only one person living there. Okay. Maybe you should really be living with housemates, but you wanted to be more independent. And that's why you've got, a studio flat to yourself, but it's still too expensive for the money that you have. Really understand, okay, are you overspending in that area of life? And are you doing yourself a disservice? Because yes, it would be really nice to have a mansion, okay, but I can't afford a mansion. So I'm not living in that sort of lifestyle, and neither should you. If you're only bringing in £3,000, let's say, for example, as a salary every month, you should not be paying more than £1,500 on all of your needs, okay? Your needs being your rent, your accommodation, your food bill, any transport to work, any need that you need to have in order to survive and live how you are. I'm not talking about sushi restaurants. I'm not talking about cocktail bars, okay? Just really understand what percentage is going towards your needs, and are you basically spending over that amount? Because the more that you overspend on things, the less money you will have for savings and investing. And I know I keep banging on about in savings, but let's say, for example, you want to retire early, or maybe you have a kid in the future and you want to maybe work less hours. If you don't have a pot of money there for your future self, you won't be able to do these things. So the sooner you can start to put money aside for your future self, the better you will be. The third thing then to talk about self-sabotaging is lifestyle creep. What is lifestyle creep? It's also called lifestyle inflation. And what that might mean is, let's say you're on a 30 grand a year job, and let's say you got a promotion, so now you're up to 40 grand, okay? Lifestyle creep is essentially when your income increases, you are also increasing your expenses as well. So even though you're getting paid a lot more, you're not saving the difference, or you're not utilizing the difference to buy assets, let's say, for example. All you're doing is increasing your expenses by having more luxury luxury items, by having, you know, a bigger house, by having, you know, a nicer car. But even though you're getting paid more, you're not seeing that money in, you know, your savings pot or for your future self. And this is something that's so common, especially if you live in a big city. You may want to keep up with the Joneses. You may want a cool Louis Vuitton handbag. You may have got a big ass bonus, and instead of saving that money or investing it or, you know, utilizing it to buy an asset, what you're actually doing is buying a liability. You may be buying a depreciating car. You may be, you know, spending it on a holiday, for example, and not actually getting much out of that extra income. And of course, you know, I want people to have fun and have holidays and stuff like that. So I'm not saying never go on holiday, but if you are constantly increasing your expenditure every time you get a promotion or every time more money comes into your hands, it's more your mindset that's at fault there, because you have been given this gift of more money, but you prefer to spend it eating out or spend it on frivolous clothes that you barely even wear. So really understand where your money is going and how you can actually be better with that. The next way about are you self-sabotaging your future is you pay for items before you have money coming in. This is an absolute killer. So if you have a credit card or multiple credit cards, okay, you may be, you know, swiping that card for something, let's say it's a handbag, before you get your money in the door, okay? And this is such a terrible trap, because if you keep spending money before it hits your bank account, okay, it hurts my chest to even think about it. You are gonna start to build up that debt. And let's say, for example, that money doesn't come in 1 month. Maybe you're sick, maybe something terrible happens to you, or maybe you lose your job, okay? You have spent all of this money on handbags, on things that are very frivolous on your credit card. However, if the money doesn't come in and you don't have an emergency pot to cover these things that you've just bought, you are in a very deep hole for yourself. So really try not to ever do that, honestly. So if you're spending tomorrow's salary on today's goods, you're kind of gambling, and you may as well be in a casino, because the money that you're spending is borrowed money. It's credit, it's a loan, it's a payday loan to pay for something frivolous. So always make sure that you have the money there to pay for an item. The next way you may be self-sabotaging your future is, are you very loyal to certain brands and only certain brands because your friends have it? Let's say all of your friends have Louis Vuitton handbags and you feel almost pressured to buy a Louis Vuitton handbag, which can be a few £1,000s, because you want to continue hanging out with those friends. Now, of course, this is raising loads of red flags, because if you have to buy an expensive item just to hang out with people, okay, maybe they're not the people for you. I do a video on this, on the type of people that you hang around with and how it can influence your ethics. I'll pop it up here if you're curious. But having brand loyalty, even if you can't afford something, is shooting yourself in the foot. Let's say you drop £4,000 on a brand new handbag right now, right here, okay? And even if you're not paying for it on credit card, let's say you're paying from it from your savings account, okay? And if you're doing this every year because every one of your friends is also buying these Louis Vuitton handbags or hats or clothes, okay? And you're following suit. And maybe in the back of your mind, you're like, oh my God, I would really like a house one day. I would really like to save for a deposit, but I just don't have any money. You do have money. You're just redirecting it into the wrong places. You're redirecting it into expensive items that maybe are outside of your realm, but you're wasting that potential deposit for house money on these luxury items. So it's more just a bit of a shift. A lot of people say, I don't have money to buy a house, when actually they do. It's just where their money is going is into the wrong buckets. So the next way you may be self-sabotaging yourself is not asking for advice when you need it, and living in that hole if you're in a lot of debt, or you don't know which way to turn, or you're sick of renting and you're afraid you're going to have to move back in with your parents. If you don't ask for help or to help yourself out by learning about personal finance, you know, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because YouTube channels like this are absolutely free, and I'm giving you personal, you know, finance tips here to be better with your money. I'm not a financial advisor, of course, so if you're really, you know, in the pits of hell, do seek out a financial advisor. You can read books, watch YouTube channels like this to improve your knowledge of finances and to be better with your money, to understand how to budget it. It's not that you don't have money. More likely than not, the people that watch this channel have a full-time job and are professionals. So if that sounds like you, you do have money. You're just redirecting it into the wrong ways. And maybe you've fallen into this debt hole, or this cycle of keep on spending when you're really emotional, when you're really sad, you just keep buying clothes, okay? We've all been there. Don't worry about it. What you can do today for yourself is to really understand how you can improve on that, understand how you can pay your debt. I'll pop a video up here on how to pay your debt really quickly if you're curious about that, if you've got credit card debt. And you don't have to be ashamed to ask for help. If you're not really sure which way to turn with your finances, it's okay to seek help from family, friends, or a financial advisor, or to educate yourself on these sort of channels, okay? If you don't help yourself, you're just going to cause yourself more stress, maybe more anxiety, maybe even delve into depression at some stage, okay? So help yourself out first. There are little steps that you can take to improve how you manage your money, and I assure you things will be better on the other side. Another way that you may be self-sabotaging yourself is that A, you're not investing, or you don't have a savings account. And if you do have a savings account, maybe you're on a really crappy low interest rate and you haven't, looked into higher interest rates, okay? A lot of us are kind of creatures of habit. If you've been with the same bank for so long, but actually if you look at your banking and you're like, oh my God, they're only offering me 1% on my savings account, you should move to a better savings account, okay? It's really easy to switch. You don't have to pay money for these high interest savings accounts. There are no setup fees, and if they are, maybe steer clear of those banks, okay? But 9 times out of 10, you can move your money from a low interest savings account to a high interest savings account and basically just get free money there from the interest that's going to be earned. So sometimes you have to work smarter, not harder, rather than grinding yourself to the bone and doing all these extra side hustles or whatever, and your body is very tired and it's affecting your health. Maybe there are better ways to grow your money, like investing, like a high yield savings account, where honestly, you don't really have to do much. It's just building in the background. Are there ways that you are currently self-sabotaging yourself? And hopefully this video has maybe helped you realize some of the things that you do and some of the things that you can change today. A lot of these things are just small steps that you can make, and it's just a bit of a shift in your mindset. So if you're really serious about leveling up your life and being better with the money that you have in your bank account and being able to not be in a bit of a dark hole and improve your future self, you should really start today. I tend to do 2 videos a week on here, guys. I mainly talk about money tips. I've worked in finance for the last 10 years in London. I am Irish, of course. So if these things are helpful for you, I would appreciate a subscription. About only 90% of the people watching this are unsubscribed. So I would really appreciate it if you could just click that little red button. That would be great. But if not, I'll see you soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.